Okay, welcome. This is my my third video for the channel, my second of three videos where I'm discussing three words which connect to our current politics, which tend to create more heat than light, tend to get people upset. And I'm going to try and give a definition that I think takes the heat out, the steam out of it a little bit. So the three words are austerity. I've already made a video about austerity, should be posted by the time you're watching this one. And I'm not going into detail there, I'll go into detail in the video. Federalism, which is the topic of this video, and then democracy, which is the one that's going to come after. Okay, so I accept that words do change their meaning over time. And language is a fluid thing. But in this video, so I'm going to try and put some definitions in that I think take the heat out of the situation. Right. Austerity, as we already said, is about governments reclaiming better money through spending cuts, tax increases, or a combination of both. And the main takeaway point of the first video I made, the one about austerity, was that I think that tax increases is already an austerity measure. So it is possible to have austerity measures without blaming the poor for everything. That was the other bit in the first video. So here, federalism, which is in this video, is the form of government in which there is division of powers between two levels of equal status. Okay, don't know about equal, but certainly a division of power between these two. Now, I've got some maps of a couple of federal states in a minute. The United Kingdom is not a federal system. The Westminster government, in the end, has power over other things. Since devolution, I confess I'm not entirely with what powers the Scottish Parliament's got. So we've got a modicum of federalism there, but certainly in England there's no federalism. It's not. The local governments have to. If the national government tells the local governments that they have to cut spending, then they have to cut spending. There's no. The local governments don't have powers that are protected from the national government. The relationship between the European Union and the national government is more complicated, but it is not federalism. The EU is not federal yet. Whether or not it wants to move in that direction is a matter of debate, but here is, if it was, it isn't to be scared of, because what a lot of people think federalism is a centralisation of power. The reason they fear a federal Europe is they think that all powers of decision making will be centralised at the, what you might call the highest level, the level that covers a greater area, which is like the EU, and that is not federalism. If the EU were to become a federal organisation, it would not mean that the EU suddenly was the centre of all power, because depending how it was organised, national government would still have power over probably most of its decision making. At the moment, it's most of its decision making, and a small amount of power is given or lent to the EU, but it's sort of half kept in national government. So it's not yet a federal system, but if it was a federal system, arguably it would work better, and it would not mean the EU had all the power. In fact, it would probably mean that local government, if we all were federal, Westminster would have its powers, the EU would have its powers, and your local council running your local community would also have powers that the national government could not interfere with. So actually, federalism is not something to be scared of. It's not about taking powers away from local areas. In some instances, depending on how it was organised, it could involve giving power back to local areas. That's the meaning of the word federalism. That's not to say the federalism can't be set up all wrong. That's not to say the federalism couldn't be set up with too much power given to the EU. And although I'm a European, I would oppose that along with anybody else. So there we go. So here's the United States. This is an example of a federal state. All these states have powers that this federal government in Washington, D.C., they're put in red, cannot touch over, I don't know the exact distribution of powers, but things like local education, local roads, local criminal law in the United States. I mean, some states have capital punishment. I'm sorry to say, but they do, and then they defend that power to have the federal government can't come in and tell Texas, for example, that it can't have capital punishment because it's something that belongs to the state. Another one is Germany, and again, I don't know the exact distribution of powers between the various levels, but the government in Berlin, not if the let's Bayern, for example, Bavaria as we call it, has powers that the government in Berlin cannot touch. That's because Germany is a federal state. So the takeaways on federalism is you don't have to be scared of federalism. Federalism isn't a power grab, it's a distribution. And it's just a case of taking decisions at the most appropriate level. So things like foreign affairs are probably going to have to be at national level. Things like the environment, possibly at supranational level. Things about how we trade with each other at a supranational level. But things like your local schools, your local roads, and some distribution, hopefully it's not at the moment, some distribution of how these things are spent. What parliaments it is, local governments do have some power over what they spend things on, not necessarily on the total amount. And the total amount could become a local thing. So democratic federalism means you and I will be represented at each level. So whether or not if you want to know how you can make your school better, you go to one set of elected officials. If you want to know foreign policy, you might go to another set. And so long as we are represented at each level, there is nothing to be scared of in federalism. It's not a power grab by larger bodies. And if it was, I'd oppose it as well as you might. Okay, that's the takeaway on federalism. So democracy is the next video. We all know what democracy means, right? Or do we? And that is in fact the topic for the next one I'm going to film. Although I've got to go shopping first, so it might come later. Okay, thank you very much. And look, there am I.